All right, welcome to the first edition of the 2024 season. Hell, it's really just the first edition of the Tunnel Sports podcast ever because the last time we were doing this, the last time we were making content like this, we were still a Big 12 country. Since that change has happened, a lot of things have been going on. So we are now getting back into the content creation side of everything with the tunnel. A lot of you probably follow us on Twitter already. If you're not, follow us. It would be greatly appreciated. We have built a really great community up there. Really enjoyed interacting with so many different people, so many different Longhorns, a lot of Sooners, unfortunately. Um, but it's a ton of fun either way. But enough about that. Finally, moving on to week one of college football season. Got a taste of it last weekend. Week 0, Florida State laying an egg against Georgia Tech after spending all off season, all of bowl season last year, crying about not making the playoffs, booing Kirk Herbstreit, um, crying about how Texas or Alabama shouldn't have gotten in. Whatever the case, it was nice to see them go out there and not back up any of their fans who were complaining about that. So shout out to Florida State for the entertainment last weekend, but now we're getting back into the real deal. All the football games this weekend. Starting tonight, we've got Colorado, North Dakota State. Going to be a really good one. I'm cheering for North Dakota State. I won't even lie. Not really, not the biggest Deion Sanders fan on this side of things, but should be a good game either way. I think. A lot of good action this weekend, starting off tomorrow night, too, with Temple in Oklahoma. It's going to be interesting to see what OU is looking like this season. A lot of question marks along the offensive line. Jackson Arnold, what can he be? You've got some really good games over the weekend with Georgia and Clemson, and of course Texas and Florida and Colorado State, and then Texas A&M, Notre Dame, also going to be super exciting to see what both of those teams look like this year as well. With that being said, happy to be back in front of a microphone, in front of a camera. If you're watching this, if you're just listening, thank you for listening. If you're watching, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. My name is Tyler Mazur. Probably should have said that way before, but here we are. I am going to be sort of the host of this whole thing. I don't want to say, I'm the host, I'm the most important, whatever. Don't think of it that way. Just this is the face that you're most likely going to see the most often. Um, my co-host Shane and Hannah. A lot of y'all know Hannah on Twitter. Hey Fro, I think that's how you pronounce it. If you don't recognize Hannah, you probably recognize her Twitter. Um, she's all over the place, and Shane personal Twitter not so much, but I guarantee you, if you are an A&M fan or an OU fan, you have interacted with him in some form or fashion on Twitter because he loves to get the opposing fans riled up on Twitter, start all kinds of Twitter conversations, Twitter fights, whatever the case. He is pretty much the sole reason why my Twitter notifications are off on my phone. Me and Shane both are the Twitter people as well. Hannah, you're not really going to ever see interacting on our account, on the Tunnel Longhorns account. She is just going to be here for podcast content creation, stuff like that. That being said, tonight neither of them are able to join me. Everybody's got busy lives. Really looking forward to watching the college football games tonight, so going to keep this short. This is just going to be kind of getting our feet wet again, getting back into this space. Now, like I said, neither of them are going to be here to save me the trouble of having to do this whole thing 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, by myself, because I don't have the podcaster voice yet. I don't have the chops to do that all alone. I am going to be bringing in some help from one of my good family members, man. I mean, we grew up like brothers. He's my cousin. His name is Dalen. He is grew up a Texas fan with me. Ended up going to the University of Houston for a chemical engineering degree. somehow he got the all the smarts of the family. He's the only one that is that intelligent. Um, but he's going to be joining me tonight. He also has a sports podcast with one of his friends. I'm going to let him talk about that a little bit more whenever he hops on here with me. But yeah, just wanted to kind of give you the lay of the land here, kind of what you can expect going forward. We're going to cover all kinds of stuff tonight: conference championship predictions, 12-team playoff predictions. I'm going to give my national championship and honestly just my full playoff bracket and how I think it's all going to shake out. Maybe talk a little bit about the Texas football roster, since this is a Texas football podcast. That is going to be the majority of what we do, but we will still cover other things. We're also going to pick some games. We both enjoy the gambling space a little bit, nothing crazy, but I do enjoy betting against spreads, betting very poorly on over-unders. I suck at that. I'm really good at betting the spreads, but man, I let my emotions get to me on over-unders, and 90% of the time I'm wrong. So we're just going to go through, have some fun, picking a few games from this weekend, some of the bigger games. And yeah, and also we're going to run down the Texas football schedule this year, kind of give our wins and losses, what we think you should expect for the 2024 season. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Dalen, and we'll get started. I'm here with my cousin, Dalen Missouri. He's filling in for Shane today because Shane's busy truck driver delivering all of the goods for the United States. They call him the best truck driver in the SEC. I don't know if they do, but I do. So this is my cousin, Dalen Missouri. He's filling in today. He's grown up with me my whole life. We were kind of like brothers growing up more than cousins. So really excited to do this. And he's a big football fan. He's actually got his own podcast with one of his friends from college. So I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself and about their podcast.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm happy to be here. It's my first time doing like a guest appearance on a podcast. I feel so official now. Yeah, my name's Dalen. I grew up, like Tyler said, with him in Texas, and I now live in Asheville, North Carolina. My wife and I just moved out here not too long ago. It's beautiful out here. Huge Texas fan, but I actually went to college at University of Houston. A little bit of a better opportunity for me there for school.
His brain was actually too good for Texas. Not, he's actually too smart for Texas.
Yeah,
one of the
that's
few.
Not true. That's not true. No, yeah. So I decided to go to U of H, and I loved it there. So I like the Cougs as well. But to make everyone happy for the Texas fans, I went to the game last year in Houston, and I wore a UT polo. And my buddies from college wanted to kill me, but I had to do it. So I cheered for Texas in Houston.
You can't let the 4 years at Houston overtake the 22, 23 years before that.
Absolutely.
You can't let that take over.
That's what I always tell people. It's like I was born and raised on the streets of Austin tailgating. Yeah. So I won't give that up for anything. Yeah. But yeah, so my podcast, it's me and my buddy that graduated from U of H with me. His name's Ethan. Our podcast is called Educated Nonsense. You can look it up on Spotify, Apple. We kind of just started it, kind of like two dudes that just like to talk football a lot, and we try to bring kind of the fan perspective more than anything. We don't do extensive research or anything crazy. It's just like you're sitting in there talking nonsense with your buddies. So Educated Nonsense. Look it up if you're interested.
Yeah, and I love the name of the podcast too. Like, it just kind of like the two words play off of each other, because like you don't expect educated people to just be speaking nonsense. But did he graduate from, you did chemical engineering, right?
I did chemical engineering. He did accounting, but he was a fellow honors college graduate with me.
There you go.
So that's kind of the whole play on is we're technically educated, but when it comes to football, it's 100% nonsense. So that's kind of where we got the title.
That's how I feel with just about anybody who tries to talk college football, because I mean, the sport is just ridiculous sometimes. I mean, week 0 already got us off to a crazy start with Georgia Tech beating Florida State, which I was happy about. I don't know if I think you had them in your playoffs or something like that. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's the best start for you, but
yeah, we're gonna strike that from the record.
are you gonna change them now?
I'm gonna change it
called
now.
them,
Yeah,
but we're gonna do that too. We're gonna show our playoff picks, and I guess we both kind of get a leg up having already seen week 0 and watching Florida State. You know, people were saying they had the best defensive line in the country, and that proved to not be the case. I watched 5'7" running back after 5'7" running back just gash them the entire day from Georgia Tech. So
yeah.
Well, cool. I guess let's just get into it. We've got a few things we're gonna go over, trying to keep it kind of short because we both want to get out of here and watch the games tonight. But the first thing that I wanted to cover was just going straight into conference champions. I know that's way down the line. There's a lot of football to be played, but that's part of the like educated nonsense is guessing things that are going to happen in 3 months and hoping that you're right. I just have mine typed out in alphabetical order. So starting with the ACC, I've got Clemson and Virginia Tech. If you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, probably would have had Florida State instead of Virginia Tech. Because I don't know. There's a lot of hype around Virginia Tech this year, and typically I try to stay away from that stuff because I feel like 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work how people think it's going to. But with Florida State being pretty much out of the running, in my opinion, now, I feel like Virginia Tech is probably the next best option there. What do you think?
Yeah, so I have Clemson as well. Yeah, an important thing about Florida State is that was a conference game. I think that's the hardest part about it.
Right.
So they don't really have any more room for error, and they still have a couple tough tests. I actually had this originally. I had Clemson and NC State.
Okay.
NC State, I don't love them as a team, but their schedule lines up really well for them. And under Dave Doran, I feel like they've really taken care of business in games they should win. Like they win, 8, 9, 10, or they've never won 10 games actually, but they win 8 or 9 games like every year. And this year I think the schedule just lines up pretty well. So I have Clemson and NC State are you doing winners now, right?
Yeah, we're doing winners as well. So you can go ahead and say yours, and then I'll give you mine.
All right, yeah, I got Clemson. Clemson winning it.
I do too. I just, as much as everybody likes to kind of crap on Dabo for not being Mr. Transfer Portal, and not, getting with the times or whatever you want to call it, I still think they're just probably more talented than anybody else in the ACC. And I feel like at some point, Cade Klubnik's got to come around. And he's going to be in his 3rd year now. So I just don't see Clemson being that down for that long. I do worry about weapons at receiver because they haven't really had that for the past few years. So who knows? I'm also not as big on Miami as a lot of other people are. I know they got a lot out of the portal, but I don't know. Colorado showed us last year that you can't just take pieces out of the portal and translate it straight into success. And Miami is one of those teams that's going to have to show me before I just go into the season thinking they can compete for the conference title.
Yep. I'm in the same boat. I'll save my thoughts on Miami because I have something to say later on.
You got more on them? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, we can go into the Big Ten then. I've got Oregon and Ohio State, probably the most picked 2 teams from the Big Ten. So not much of a shock there. I mean, Oregon also played the portal game, but I think they played it at a different level, getting Evan Stewart from A&M and Dylan Gabriel as well from OU. And then Ohio State, I mean, they're building a monster out there. So those are my 2, and I think they're probably yours as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The Big Ten feels like the most top heavy for sure. this year. Those two teams feel like a league above everyone else. Penn State's interesting because if you look at their schedule, it lines up pretty well. But I think they'd have to beat. They need Oregon to lose 2, I think. They don't play Oregon, but they're probably going to lose to Ohio State like always. So
Right.
I feel like Penn State's like just made to be an 8 seed in the playoff. Like they're just they're bred for that. Go 10-2,
right.
11-1.
That's what they do every year though. Is like they go 10-2. They beat up on a bunch of like really weak Big Ten schools in a weak non-conference schedule, and then they lose their most important games of the year, and it's just rinse and repeat. And then everybody says James Franklin is a top 5 head coach in the country. And it's just like, but when is he going to win a big game?
They Penn State is, I heard, out of the last 8 seasons, they would have made a 12-team playoff 6 times.
Yeah,
but never made the 14.
Probably would have got bounced in the first round of all 8 of those.
Yeah.
I also I don't trust Drew Aller as far as I could throw him, which is probably about 2 feet, because he's big. But
yeah,
I don't know. He just feels like such a prototypical Big Ten quarterback that he's not going to light you up for 300-400 yards. He's not going to win you a game, and you're kind of just going to lean on your defense. So I don't know. I think Penn State's interesting. I think you're probably right that they'll find their way in, but I don't think they're going to be able to compete with Ohio State or Oregon. And then I also like what you said about them being very top heavy, because I think a lot of people look at it, maybe some of the casual fans, they're like, oh, Washington's there now. USC is there now. UCLA is now there. And everybody looks at that as like, it's a revitalized Big Ten, but Washington kind of got raided after Kalen DeBoer left for Alabama. I've got stuff to say about USC later too, and I don't know. It feels like kind of how the SEC has been for a lot of the previous 10 years is like Alabama, Georgia, or Alabama, Georgia, LSU. Or Alabama, Georgia, fill in the blank with the third team, and then everybody else just kind of fills out the rest. So, all right. The most fun conference in the country, Big 12.
I'm
going to let you go first here because I kind of have a hot take on this one, sort of, but I'll let you go first.
Okay. Just like you said, this is going to be the most fun conference. Like, if the regular season was the end of the season, I think the Big 12 would be like the most entertaining thing to watch.
Yeah.
You have like your best team, if you were doing pure power rankings, like just purely like who would be favored over who, your best team's probably going to be like maybe 12th or 13th, and your worst is probably going to be like 60th.
Right.
So they're all just like compacted right there. Yeah. Whereas like Vanderbilt's probably barely a top 100 team, and then Georgia's number 1,
Yeah.
So every game, it feels like every spread's probably going to be within 2 touchdowns, and every game, the home team is probably got a really good chance to win. So it's going to be just entertaining. And being a Houston fan like me, it's amazing because like I won't be torn apart if they go like 4-8, but it'll be so fun to watch them like play these teams. Right. So it'll be really cool. With all that being said, I have Utah. I think Cam Rising will plug right in. And one thing that's interesting about them that worries me a little bit is their style of play worked so much in the Pac-12 because it was so different. And they just were brutal on the lines of scrimmage. But they're kind of joining a conference where everyone does that. The Big 12 is no longer like your air raid, throw for 500 yards a game. It's a lot of like Utah type teams. Right. So maybe that won't work as well, but I just think they're a little bit more talented than everyone else this year. And then I actually have a little bit of a dark horse here. I have Kansas. This is solely riding on the health of Jalen Daniels.
That's fair.
That's a tough. Full disclosure, when I picked that, I thought that Bean was still there as the backup.
Okay. Yeah.
Since learning he's gone, I'm a little bit worried, but hopefully Daniels can stay healthy.
Yeah.
And then I got Utah winning it.
Okay. No, I think that's fair. And I think, honestly, you could probably say that you said, Jalen Daniels staying healthy is what you're relying on for them. I think you could say that about like 90% of the conference. Like, what happens to Kansas State if Avery Johnson goes down? What happens to Oklahoma State? Oklahoma State probably would be okay. Is Gunnar Gundy's gone? I don't think he's their backup anymore. But like West Virginia, if their quarterback goes down, is Fafita still at Arizona? Yeah, he didn't transfer.
He stayed.
I think they go by what he does. Texas Tech with Baron Morton. I think this is probably one of the more underrated quarterback conferences, but also
you can't name a backup.
Yeah.
I don't know. Besides, I know Houston's backup because I follow the team.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think I know a backup in this conference.
I know it's bad, and I just feel like most of the teams here aren't like a quarterback and their supporting cast. Like with Texas, you look at Texas, Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback, but he's got a really good supporting cast with him. And his job is to get those guys the ball and let them make plays. For a lot of these Big 12 teams, it feels like the quarterback's job is to make the plays and get it to the guys that, get it to his supporting cast by making those plays.
So Oklahoma State feels like the one team that's not built that way.
Yeah, because you can just lean on Ollie Gordon. You've got some weapons outside. Yeah. I don't know who their backup is, but I mean, if he's coached by Mike Gundy, then I don't think I can really question that much. So my picks, I also have Utah in the game. Same way, I just feel like probably talent-wise, they're a little bit above the rest of them. And I think, Cam Rising is in year 8, 9, 10. I actually saw a funny stat today that Quinn Ewers was in 8th grade when Cam Rising went to Texas. So that's pretty awesome. Crazy to think about. But my other pick for the Big 12 championship game is actually Texas Tech. I think a lot like Oklahoma State, they have running back's name is just
Boyd.
Escaping me.
Is it Boyd?
Yeah.
Or Brooks.
Taj Boyd.
Sorry.
No, Taj Boyd.
Wait.
No, Taj Boyd went to Clemson.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Brooks.
Yeah.
Sorry, my roommate is a Tech fan, so he's probably listening to me right now like, you're an idiot. Yes, Taj Brooks. But they also have they've got a lot of weapons at receiver that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to. They've got this kid, Coy Aiken, and if you're a Texas high school football fan, you probably know that name. He went to Stephenville, and they beat LBJ a few years ago in the state championship, and he went nuts in that game. And I think the story goes like he had 2 or 3 offers in general, and after that game, it was like 30-something coaches were calling him to offer him after that game. So he's played a little bit the last couple of years. I think he's going to be really good. They also got a transfer at tight end that is already getting a lot of looks from the draft. So I think
they got Micah Hudson too.
Micah Hudson, yes. Micah Hudson, of course. Apparently, he's listed as number 2 on their depth chart. I don't see that being the case for very long. Just because I don't think they've got that kind of talent there where he's going to be buried in the depth chart. But that's a big piece too. So I think if they can keep Baron Morton healthy, another fun fact that I got confirmed before I came on here, Texas Tech's last quarterback to play the entire year, like one quarterback the whole year, was Patrick Mahomes. They have had at least 2 quarterbacks play every year since Patrick Mahomes graduated. So
I mean, how many starting quarterbacks in the Big 12 played at Texas Tech? Is it 3? Because Bowman was Tech, right?
Yeah. Bowman played at Tech.
Donovan Smith.
Yeah,
and then Morton.
And Baron Morton. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's crazy to think about. So the Utah and Tech are the 2 that I have playing in it, and honestly, just to be kind of different and just to be fun, I'm picking Tech to win it. And just because I think that you could put 8 or 9 different people in that spot and put them against Utah, and flip a coin for who's going to win that game when it comes
Mhm.
down to it. So I like Tech this year. I really do. I don't know how popular that's going to be among Texas fans with everything running through Lubbock and all of the good things that happened the last 2 years, but
You
those
realize
are
that
mine.
would put them in the playoff, ranked
Mhm.
most likely, or possibly above Texas.
I know. But people are going to have to look at the playoffs differently now.
I
Like
know.
you can't just look at the seed because you get your 4 automatic qualifiers, get the top 4 seeds. So
Yeah.
the number 4 seed isn't always going to be better than 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
In this case, the 4th seed is probably the 20th best team in the country.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
honestly.
right. It very easily could be.
Yeah.
So that's my Big 12. SEC, I'll let you go here on this one too.
Yeah, I got kind of chalky here. I got Georgia and Texas. Georgia has a really brutal schedule, though. I think they're at
Yeah.
Texas, at Bama, and at Ole Miss.
Hmm.
Um, but I think they'll maybe drop one, but I think they still make it. Texas, I mean, we'll get to Texas' schedule in this episode, so I won't say too much about it, but I'd feel a lot different about Texas if we were playing Oklahoma's schedule.
Yeah.
But I think our conference schedule turned out pretty favorable, so I think we'll make it to the
Yeah,
champ game.
I think so too. And like you said, we'll talk about Texas' schedule. I've got the same thing. Like you said, it's pretty chalky. I think Texas, Georgia, Alabama are the 3 kind of favorites there, and
Mm-hmm.
then Ole Miss, Missouri can kind of be in that conversation too. Um, who do you have winning it?
I have Georgia.
Okay, yeah. Unfortunately,
Feels
so do I.
tough. In Atlanta, feels pretty difficult there.
Yeah, the only
So
thing I will say is those 2 play in the regular season, and it's hard to beat a team twice in
mhm.
in one season, so you never know what can happen with that depending on who wins the first game. But I think just looking at it as a game by game basis, it's probably just Georgia's kind of above the rest at this point. And like you
Yeah,
said, being in Atlanta is going to be kind of a de facto home game. Of course, that didn't stop Bama last year. So,
yeah.
um, okay. Well, I was gonna say let's pick a group of 5 champion, but we are gonna go through playoff bracket, so we can just go into that instead. How do
Yep.
you want to do it? You want to go? We pretty much told you 1 through 4 just now. Um, we can go back through that, or we can just move on, go 5 through 12.
Um, let's real quick just give our order for 1
Okay.
through 4. We told you guys the champions, so I got Georgia
Yeah.
1, Ohio State 2, Utah 3, and Clemson 4. I think Clemson is going to pick up that Georgia loss in the non-conference. That's going to cement them in the 4 seed
Okay.
in week 1, whereas the other 3 I have going with just 1 loss. So yeah, Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Utah 3, and Clemson 4. Those are the automatic buys. I don't know. Once you give yours, maybe it's a good time to give a little refresher on how it works.
Sure. So yeah. So 1 through 4 are going to be your conference championships, your Power Four conference champions. So ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and then the seeding will go highest ranked. So we're both assuming Georgia's going to win the SEC, probably be ranked number 1. I've actually got Oregon winning the Big 10, and I think they're going to be the number 2 seed. Um, and then Clemson in the 3 as the ACC winner, and then Tech in the 4 as the Big 12 winner. Um, and then from there, so 5 through 12 is going to be number 12 will be your highest ranked group of 5 champion. So your American
Most
champion.
likely.
Yeah, yeah.
Technically, they could get anywhere 5 through 12,
That's
but
that's true, but
it's probably going to be
most
the
likely
12.
going to be the 12.
But
So
they're guaranteed one
one group
spot.
of 5 conference is going the highest ranked group of 5 team that wins their conference is going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They made this so complicated.
Yeah.
So your American Sun Belt, um, MAC, Mountain West, all those conferences. Whoever the highest ranked champion is going to be in. And then your other teams from there are going to just be filled in as the highest ranked teams that are not conference champions. So let's do this. I'll do 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you do your 5 through 8, and then 9 through 12, you do your 9 through 12. So at 5, I've got Ohio State. So I think Oregon. No, Ohio State. I screwed this so much. Oregon wins the Big Ten. They're the 2 seed. Ohio State in as the 5 seed, as the highest ranked non-conference champion.
Okay.
And then 6, I've got Texas, and 7, Alabama, and then 8, Utah.
Oh, an extra Big 12 team.
I think 2 Big 12 teams go this year, because I think Utah's going to have, the way I'm kind of seeing it is Utah has a really good Big 12 regular season. Tech comes in maybe 2-3 losses and shocks them in the Big 12 championship game. That might be Utah's second loss, third loss of the season. So keeps them high enough where they can still sneak in there.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if Utah loses, I feel a lot better about the Big 12 getting 2.
Right.
One thing that's interesting here, I'm curious to see how the committee handles conference championship losers.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same. So I have the Big 10 champ or Big 10 runner-up 5th as well. But for me, it's Oregon. And then I have SEC runner-up Texas in the 6th. So in my eyes, they kind of enter that game in the top at 5 and 6 and lose and don't get knocked. Because I don't think you can punish teams for losing the conference championship game unless it's like the game that determines if they're going to make it or not.
Yeah.
But like, for instance, I wouldn't put Bama above Texas, even if Texas then has 1 extra loss, because Texas made the champ game above Bama. So we'll see. We don't have precedent on that. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, I got Oregon 5. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the other thing that I am weird about, and maybe it's just a fan way of thinking, and maybe the players and coaches would never think like this, but like in this scenario that I have the Big 12, like let's say Utah runs the table, they go undefeated, they're pretty much a shoe-in to go to the college football playoff, regardless of if they win. What's stopping your Mark from going over to Utah and being like, hey, that funding you want for this new facility, whatever, like maybe we'll help you find a way to make it happen. You get us 2 playoff teams this year. That's kind of something that I've always wondered. It might be a little too, maybe I need to put my tinfoil hat on and like stop with the conspiracies, but I wonder about that. If you've got somebody that is just so for sure going to be in, and they're playing someone who has to have the conference championship to make it, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past college football to have that kind of collusion happening. So
at least with the refs.
That's also a good point. Yeah.
Since this is the Texas podcast, I can happily say that we all know what that looks like when the conference is not really with you anymore.
Right.
But yeah, so I got Oregon 5. That is an interesting point. I don't know if it'd go as far as to talk to the teams, but I think the refs certainly will get involved. So I got Oregon 5, Texas 6. I also have Bama 7. So we have really similar so far. And then I have Penn State at 8.
Okay.
Like I said, I just feel like they're going to do 10-2, be solid. A playoff game in Happy Valley, round 1 would be awesome. So
that would be pretty cool.
And then I'll keep going. Go ahead.
I feel like you have to do a whiteout if that's the case.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That would be pretty sick. And maybe it would snow because it would be in just like late December. Oh,
yeah.
That'd be so cool.
Yep. And that's what's going to be interesting if teams in the north are hosting late. That could make a big difference. I'll do my 9 through 12. So I have Ole Miss at 9. I think they'll sneak in. Pretty easy schedule for them too, or not easy, but workable.
Yep.
Then I have Notre Dame at 10.
Okay.
Their schedule is easy. I mean, if they win this A&M game, they might go undefeated, especially because Florida State was like a big one for them. And, Florida State might still be good, but it's looking a lot easier now. And then the 11, I have the SEC getting a 5th team in with Tennessee.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wait, so you have the battle for the real UT in the playoffs too.
I do. 6 versus 11.
I don't know if my heart can handle playing OU, playing Georgia, playing A&M again, and having to battle for the real UT. I don't know if I can take that in one football season. Yeah, and at Arkansas.
Yeah, that'd be a lot. And Michigan. I can't stand Michigan. But yeah, I got Tennessee. I think Nico's kind of the obvious factor there. Like, how good can he be? Because I think he can take them pretty high. But they have a tough schedule, so it'd be tough. They probably need to go 10-2 to make it. But I think they could. So what's interesting about this playoff is that the committee, as much as it feels like they don't want to favor one conference, if they're not careful, it's not going to exist for very long. If they piss off the SEC and the Big Ten, if they don't get ideally 4-4 from each, but at least 8 total, those two conferences have so much power to just be like, why are we doing this? Yeah. And that's why they're going to eventually go to 14, and they're just going to give the SEC and Big Ten champ the buys, and everyone else will just fall in place. But yeah, I think you could see 5 SEC teams here, and that's with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So I kind of have Notre Dame taking the 4th Big Ten spot, but I don't think the ACC and Big 12 are going to get more than one, honestly, unless it's like you said, where the right team loses.
Right.
But
yeah. Okay. And then who was your 12? Or I guess your 12.
My 12th, my G5 champ. I got App State. The boys.
Okay.
The boys from Boone.
Nice.
So I think they'll knock off Liberty this year. I know that's a common pick, but they play each other in Boone. I actually thought about going because I only live like an hour and a half from Boone now.
Okay.
And I looked, and the tickets are insanely expensive. It's like $200.
Holy crap.
App State shows out, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I love App State. Me and most of my buddies who get together and watch college football, we I don't remember who it was. They beat somebody or played somebody super close one year, like week 2 or 3 of the season. And we watched the game from kick to like the end of the game. I think it was Penn State. And we were just like, oh my God, like love these guys. Like the way they were playing, the way that like they were being coached. And obviously you have some precedent there with the Michigan upset from so long ago. You already kind of know about App State from that. So this was like 2017 before A&M, before the A&M win. And so we were always just like, oh, App State. Like we almost bought jerseys for like App State jerseys. And so I love that pick. I would love to see App State, make the playoffs. That would be really cool.
Yeah. They took like North Carolina to double OT a few years ago too.
Yeah. They're always hanging around with these teams that like, I guess if you're a casual observer of the sport, you wouldn't expect it, but then you kind of, if you really pay attention to it, you're like, hey, App State's hanging around again.
They have Clemson this year.
That could be fun.
Yep.
I could blow up a lot of this, but
I think
Clemson loses.
Oh yeah, sorry. Last thing about my playoff.
Yeah.
So I did have Florida State in originally at the 10 and Notre Dame 11. So I put Tennessee instead. I have one caveat here. If Miami wins week 1 against Florida, I think they're going to make it.
Okay.
Because their schedule, I was looking, because I don't like Miami. I don't trust them yet.
Right.
But their 3 toughest games are Florida, Louisville, and Florida State.
Interesting.
As it's pretty workable for them.
Yeah.
So obviously they dodge Clemson, they dodge a couple other good teams in that conference. So I'm interested in them, but I think they might lose to Florida week 1. So I don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait and see it play out before I kind of jump in. On Miami. but everyone's really high on them. So
yeah, I don't know. Like I said before, like I love to stay away from the popular, like everybody's real high on these guys picks, because I don't know, it never seems to work out that way.
mm-hmm.
So my 9, I also have Ole Miss. I feel like that's probably a pretty safe spot for them. I have Penn State in my 10.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I think like we said earlier, the Big Ten is so top heavy. I don't trust Drew Aller. I feel like they're going to get exposed a little bit, and it's going to make the committee just kind of hesitant with them to put them any higher than that. I also am curious to see just kind of down the stretch how this plays out, but um, we talked about a team from the North hosting a playoff game in December. Does that go into seeding at all? Because what happens if you have a playoff game scheduled at Penn State and then a freaking blizzard comes through and now you can't play the game, or you have to postpone the game and all of that? So I could see them wanting Alabama hosting Penn State versus, Penn State hosting whoever else.
They're definitely gonna shuffle things around by a seed or two to get the matchups they want, the stories they want, and I'm for it. It's for entertainment. Like, if you're taking someone from 5 to 11, that's one thing. But if you make someone 9 instead of 8 because you want the team hosting to be like a better environment, I'm all for it. It's entertainment.
I agree. And I've got Notre Dame in the 11 playing against Texas, which would have a pretty big impact on our friend group. We've got some really good friends who are big Notre Dame fans. They're actually, I was telling you before, they live in Dallas, and they're the ones I stay with for Texas OU. So that could get very interesting very quickly. And then I've actually got UTSA as my my G5 highest ranked champ. I know that they are playing with a new quarterback this year. Owen McCown, Josh McCown's son. He is from Rusk, Texas, which for most people who don't know where Rusk, Texas is, that's fine. I wouldn't expect you to, but it is in East Texas. And I lived out there for 5-6 years when I went to school out there. So I kind of got to know not necessarily his family, but just that area and those people. So I'm pulling for him. I'm pulling for UTSA because I'm originally from the San Antonio area. So I also think they've got a lot of weapons that I wouldn't say people are sleeping on because it's UTSA, but people just don't really know about. So I'm gonna ride with them mostly because it's the Group of 5 champion, and we're picking from a list of a lot of schools that at the end of the day, they're going to get boat raced by Ohio State or Oregon or whoever's in the 5, and it's probably not going to matter.
Yeah. That's what's so tough about the way that they set this playoff up.
Yeah.
Is that the Group of 5 champ is always going to be in the 12, and the 5 seed every year is arguably going to be like the second or third best team. Like if it's Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Bama, those are all such good teams.
Right.
Like, it just lines up so poorly for them.
Yeah, because you can always expect 1 or 2 conference champions from the Power 4 to probably not be a top 15, top 10 team. So then now you're talking about the number 5 team being, the third, number 3, number 4 in the country. Like, that's crazy.
Maybe number 2. Like,
I
mean, think about if Georgia
that exists.
Georgia could run the table and then lose to Texas and be the 5 seed.
Yeah,
and that's going to be a murder.
That's what would have happened last year.
Yeah,
they were undefeated and they lost to Bama, and
they played Florida State and they murdered them.
yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. That's going to be. I feel bad for whichever team gets that 12 seed, but I was gonna go through and fill out winners and all that, but we don't have to. I'll just real quick go through Final Four and national champion. I've got Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas, Oregon in my Final Four, and then Georgia, Texas, playing again potentially for a third time for the national champion this time, and unfortunately, still have to lean Georgia, like I did in the SEC championship game. So My heart will be broken and I will be very sad, but that'll be a good sign of where Texas is at if we even get to that point. So
yeah,
be too sad.
Yep, that would be a win, I think, for us this year. I got Oregon beating Georgia in the semifinal.
Okay. So we pretty much just flip-flopped Oregon and Ohio State. Like I think you have Oregon in your 5 and Ohio State as your 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I got Oregon beating Georgia, and then I have Texas beating Ohio State.
Okay.
But then, because I said on my last podcast, I can't be a total homer, so I have Oregon beating Texas to win the first natty.
Okay. Interesting. Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, he's not a great matchup for Texas normally, as we've seen.
We learned that last year.
Yeah.
So I've kind of got us exercising our demons against him this year.
Oh, okay.
That QB against Oregon in the Final Four, that QB draw from last year on that last drive just gives me nightmares, and I kind of hope that Anthony Hill will find him on a QB draw again and actually, put him in the ground this time.
Yep. Real quick before we move on from the playoff.
Okay.
The matchups are just going to be like amazing.
Oh yeah.
It really doesn't matter how it shakes out. There's going to be so many like rematches and so many like rivalries born because of this. Yep. There's some flaws to expanding the playoff, of course, but I think it's going to be so entertaining.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it.
You're also going to get a lot of like blue blood versus blue blood.
Yeah.
In this too. I mean, going out of the top 12, you've got Georgia, which you could argue is maybe new blood, but still. Ohio State, Clemson, Texas, Oregon's probably not a blue blood, but they've been powerhouse, the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Alabama, Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, I already said that. And
Tennessee, maybe.
Yeah, Tennessee. There's so many incredible options. Just man, I can't wait for it. I agree. I was kind of against expansion at first because I didn't really like it, but seeing what we could get here is just, I think it's going to be incredible.
It's going to be so awesome.
All right. Well, let's try to get through this pretty quick. We're coming up on 6:30 already, so I need to lock in some bets on the old MyBookie account because I'm still in a state where I can't get anything good. But I want to run down the schedule. We'll start with Colorado State this Saturday. 32-point spread. I think Texas covers it late. I've been hearing a lot of people kind of have the opinion of Colorado State's going to get tired. It's going to be hot. It's going to be probably steamy. I think there's some rain in the forecast. So I think Texas is just better acclimated to that than Colorado State is. And so I think it's probably going to be Texas is going to be up 25-28 most of the game, and then maybe backdoor cover with a touchdown at the end.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you because let's see what happens in the third quarter when it's like a 24-point game. Finally, the starters come off. Colorado State gets some relief, right? No, you get like hardly a step down at quarterback, at receiver. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get. You're just getting fresh legs at receiver that are arguably just as good as the starting three. So it's I don't think.
Oh, you get Jonte Cook off the field. Here's some more Ryan Wingo for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Quinn's off the field. Okay, just this little guy named Arch Manning. No big deal.
Like Matthew Golden might be a backup. I mean, it is.
Yeah. Well, and defensively too. I mean, God, like you get all these guys, and it's good that I imagine will be more of a rotation through the whole game. But like, imagine being the left tackle for Colorado State, and it's just like 5-star after 5-star after 5-star after high 4-star, just constantly, and they're rotating every 4 or 5 plays. Meanwhile, you're in the entire game. It's just, I think it's going to be rough for them.
Oh yeah, I get to face Colton Vasek instead of Trey Moore.
Who was a pretty high-rated 4-star out of Westlake. I mean, I don't know.
And those guys coming in late, they got to prove something. They want more playing time when the games get good. So it's gonna be. I feel bad for Colorado State late in the game because we're just going to be fresh all day.
Yep. It's going to be brutal.
But yeah, I got a comfortable win there as well for us.
Yep. Moving on to Michigan, at Michigan. I'm gonna let you go first here. I'll let you take this one first.
So this is kind of my broad theme of our entire season. I have us going 11-1, full disclosure. Okay. But 10-2 feels like almost more likely for me. Mm-hmm. The problem is the way our schedule lines up is we kind of got our 3 easy non-cons, and then we have a couple as easy as it gets matchups in conference, like at Vandy, Mississippi State.
Right.
And then the games I would be really scared about, we get at home, like Kentucky and Florida. But then we have these 4 like big ones. It's Michigan, A&M, Oklahoma, and Georgia.
Yep.
I could see us like dropping 2, but there's no way I'm going to pick us to lose to Michigan, OU, or A&M. I hate all of them. And I won't do it. I'll say we'll lose to Georgia. I actually think we can win that game.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to pick us to lose any of those games. I think they're all scary games, but so yeah, I have us beating Michigan. I just don't see them scoring much.
Yeah.
I know everyone's worried about our D-line and they're going to run the ball well and all that, but I mean, if we know they're going to run it over and over and over and over, I think we can stop it. Yeah. I don't think we don't have scrubs on the defensive line or in the front 7. So,
well, and that was part of the concern. To me, this feels a lot like Alabama last year. You've got this dual threat quarterback, Alex Orji versus Jalen Milroe, and you're not really sure what he's going to be yet. But the big thing is, can Texas match Alabama's physicality? Can they now match Michigan's physicality? Well, we answered that bell last year, you know. And for all the not SEC ready, blah 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 blah. I mean, I think we did okay in that game. We won by 10. So I agree. I've been saying we're going to beat Michigan by 2 scores for the last since Harbaugh left. That was like, okay, I feel pretty comfortable against Michigan now. Yeah. And I know Alex Orji is going to be good. Maybe. I know he's going to be athletic at least. I don't know if he can throw the ball. We'll see. But I think we probably, that game feels to me more like it feels close, but when you go back and watch it, it's like, okay, Texas kind of controlled the tempo here and then punched it in late to really just put the nail in the coffin.
Sort of like Iowa State last year.
Yeah.
Like that level. I think Michigan's better than Iowa State, but that's kind of the game. That's kind of the vibe. Like slow, close, but like we're kind of in command.
Yeah.
My biggest worry is like, is there a pick 6 or with the inexperience at running back now? Is there one too many fumbles?
Does somebody come in to get a couple carries and give a guy a break and drop a pass, like a backwards pass, or get hit, right spot, let the ball come loose. I definitely could see that being an issue as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Of the big 4, like you said, I agree there's a big 4 on here. This is probably the one that I feel the best about. With that being said, I feel like the next 2 are probably, I know I picked UTSA to win the American and be the highest ranked group of 5, but I think the talent gap is just outrageous between us and them. So I've got Texas by like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yep. I think both those next 2, UTSA and UL Monroe.
Yeah. I literally, I have my notes up over here and I put ULM win by infinity. Because I don't know what the spread is going to be, but I would imagine it's probably going to be in the 50s. It's going to be a big one. So
old General Booty, not going to get it done this year.
No, he's not. Okay, so then starting in conference play, this will be the first game that I go to this year. I'm really excited about that. Really excited to be there for the first SEC game as well. I've got us winning by 2 touchdowns and it being looking closer than it actually was. Maybe Mississippi State scores late to go down by 14. onside kick, Texas recovers, run the clock out, something like that. But I don't really see a world where this game is that close.
Yeah, I think this is a good win. This is about as good of a draw as you can get to open SEC play. So, another theme of the schedule as we go through it is we just got kind of a good schedule, not just the teams, but when we're playing them, where we're playing them, off of bye weeks.
Yep.
So if we were opening against Kentucky or something, I might feel a little bit worse. But I like first SEC game, Mississippi State feels like a good win. They're building still.
Yeah, and like you said, like the way the schedule's built out, because the next game on our schedule is against OU, but there's a bye week between those two, so you're not going to see a look ahead game here, look ahead trap game kind of thing, where we're game planning for OU all week and just kind of letting let's just go out and out athlete Mississippi State. So I don't know, and I've got it up here too. Mississippi State plays Florida before the Texas game. So they go Florida at home, at Texas, at Georgia. So they've got to worry about playing what should be two top 4 teams in a row. And we get the first one there. So, and like I said, into a bye week and then to OU.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be scared about the OU game because it is what it is. That's how it's been pretty much every year for the last 15 years, no matter who is what. I think Texas is probably if you had to tier the SEC out, I'd say Texas is maybe the second or third in the first tier, and then OU might be the top of the third tier or bottom of the second tier. Mm-hmm. So I think we're a pretty good step above them, and I have us winning by 10 in sort of, again, like how I said with Michigan, kind of dominating the whole game. But it'll still be close because it's Texas OU. I don't trust Jackson Arnold. All I've seen from him so far is a bad bowl performance where he had a lot of turnovers. And I think their defense is going to be a lot better. But I don't know if it's going to be that much better.
Yeah. First of all, we now live in a communist country because this is not kicking off at 11. What a shame. Yeah, I think you can't be the better team 2 years in a row and lose both.
Yeah.
If you look at when we used to knock off OU, I mean, we haven't done it a ton lately, but when they made the playoff that year, they had Kyler Murray. We beat them, but we could never get 2 in a row because they were just a better team than us. And we need to do the same thing. We can't let them. And I don't know about Jackson Arnold. I don't think he's there yet. He reminds me of Quinn's sophomore year.
Yeah.
He's just he's good. He's talented, but just a year away from being a really good quarterback. So, yeah, I think we win this one. I don't even like to predict score for OU Texas, but I think this is a must win.
Yeah. But and then this is the part of the schedule where it does not do us any favors because we go OU and we go right into Georgia. I've got us losing this game, like you said you do too, by 7 to. I have 7 to 10, but I'd say anywhere from 7 to 14. And I think it's because we just come off an emotional game, big rivalry. I think we're going to start slow. And I think we're going to have maybe good second, third, early fourth quarters, but I think eventually Georgia's just going to show they're a little bit better talent-wise than Texas and be able to pull it off when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I have a close loss here just because I can't remember a game in my lifetime almost. Okay, I can remember one with the swoops against Notre Dame when we got beat by 30.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, at least in the Herman and Sarkisian era, I can't remember a game where we were an underdog against a team more talented than us and didn't play super well. We always step up for those games. We don't always win them. So our most embarrassing losses are usually to teams nowhere near our talent level.
Yeah, Kansas.
Yeah, and Iowa State. That was a blowout loss a couple years ago. But yeah, so I think we lose this one, but very close. I think what's tough here is that I don't think we've quite established the home field dominance that other teams have.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't look at our home games as like we're not gonna lose at home. Whereas like LSU and A&M and Florida, they're like getting like a 7-point boost when they play at home. You know, I think it's definitely an advantage, and it's at least not on the road, which is good. But I don't think it's like a obvious win because it's at home. So
yeah, I will say it, like that one being in Austin gives me very like the Alabama game 2 years ago in Austin. It gives a lot of that kind of vibes for me. And did you go to that game?
I did.
Y'all were there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, golly, that that was the loudest I've ever heard that stadium. And I've been to a lot of Texas football games in my life. So, I don't know. I don't know if it gives the same home field advantage that you would get at some of those, like maybe a Penn State or a Michigan or whatever. But I don't know if I think that's necessarily what would be the cause. I just think Georgia's better than Texas right now. And I think Texas has been building a lot of talent we've been building talent forever, but to the level that Sark has us building talent right now, it's been 2-3 years and Georgia's been doing it for 10. We've got 5 stars in the 2 deep. They've got 5 stars in the 3 deep. So I just think the talent discrepancy is going to be enough there. At Vandy, I've got us starting slow after the past 2 weeks, but ultimately winning by 21 or more.
Yep. I was going to say same thing, big scheduling win here.
Yeah.
2 really tough games, and then right before your bye week, you get at Vandy, which is, I mean, it's as easy as it gets in the SEC.
Yep.
I think I'm considering going to that one. I'm only a 4 or 5 hour drive from Nashville, so might go hit a Titans game on there.
It would be cool to go to it, but I don't know if it would be a cool environment, but
what do they have, like 10,000 seats available right now? Aren't they renovating?
I saw they finally got the big screen off of the crane. They actually have it like set up now, because last year it was held up by a crane all year. But yeah, a lot of people I've heard like this could be a trap game for Texas coming off 2 big games. Like, are they going to be caught sleeping? But that's been our whole schedule for the last, since, I guess 2011 probably was when the Big 12 like golden era ended. I mean, every game was like that. Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. All these teams were kind of like Vandy, like
even better though. Besides Kansas, I mean, Vandy's really bad.
Yeah, that is a good point. But Texas outclasses them at every position. But you go there, the atmosphere is dead. You've got a bunch of guys that just want to win. They just want to beat Texas. Like that would make their schedule, or their whole year is that one win on the schedule. So I don't know. I think given that experience in the past, I'm not really worried about that. Florida, I don't really have much to say about Florida. I think it's just going to be a 1 to 2 possession win. They play Georgia before Texas, so that's kind of tough. And then they play LSU the week after. We're like right in the middle of that hell schedule that they have. Yeah. So they've got a lot to think about in that window. So I think Texas just comfortably wins. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything, but
if this one was on the road, or if it was like in the middle of a tough stretch, I'd think more about it. But off a bye week at home, one thing that'll be interesting to watch is like how bad is Florida's record at this point?
Yeah,
because like their schedule is so tough. Are they going to be like 2-6, or are they going to be 4-4 and still playing for something? I think that could matter. Who's playing quarterback at that point? They got that talented freshman DJ Lagway. Yeah. I think we win either way, but it could be. It's not a Florida's a team where if they get up, they can beat anybody.
Yeah,
like they have enough talent,
right,
to win one isolated game against anybody on their schedule, but they're just not deep enough or talented enough to win like 9 or 10 of them this year.
Yep, I agree.
I think that's a win.
Moving as quickly as we can through these last three. Arkansas at Arkansas. If Texas is going to go 9-3 this year, which would be disappointing, I think by all accounts, this is one that they're going to have to lose, and it's one that they shouldn't lose. But the last time we went to Arkansas in Sark's first year, I mean, we got run out of the building. Like, and they've got an easy schedule too. So they play Ole Miss, which is not easy, but they get Ole Miss at home, and then they have a bye week, and then Texas at home, and then Louisiana Tech at home. So we're bookended by a bye week and probably a pretty easy win after. Arkansas could be bad this year. So I mean, I think just being at Arkansas is what gives me the most concern here. There's no reason we should lose this game, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm calling this a win. I think Sam Pittman's probably out by this game.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same as Florida. Like, how bad are they at that point? What is there to play for? That they're probably going to sell out the game, even if they're 0-9 coming in.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's a big deal. They didn't even deny when they said they hate Texas more than they love themselves.
I know.
So,
I know. I thought that was funny.
So yeah, it'll be scary, but I think we should win that.
Yep. The true trap game on the schedule for me is Kentucky at home, because you're looking forward to A&M. You're going at Arkansas, then Kentucky at home at A&M. I mean, they're also going to be playing Louisville the next week, so maybe they're looking ahead a little bit too, because they need to beat Louisville more than they need to beat Texas. Like, just plain and simple. But I mean, I could see that maybe giving us a little bit of trouble. I still think we're that much better than them that we can win that game comfortably. And I'm just going to have to trust the coaching staff that we're going to be ready to go.
Yep. Yeah, I got a win here too. It does feel like a trap game, but again, being at home makes a big difference. Kentucky is like the most, like, we know the least about Kentucky probably of any team in the SEC this year. Brand new quarterback, but he's not a young guy. Vandegrift, I think, from Georgia. So a lot of unknowns there. And then week 11 or game 11, it's kind of a weird one. But yeah, I think we win that.
Yep.
And then we visit the Aggies.
You want to take this one first?
Oh, yeah, I could go. Again, I'm not going to pick us to lose against them.
I know.
They're going to be wild, and they're going to be juiced. And they have some really bright spots on their roster. Their quarterback is really good. I like Wegman. Their defensive line is great. But their secondary is horrible. Their O-line is very mediocre. Yeah. And Wegman's great, but their receivers are not very good. No. So, and then they lost Ruben Owens, which is a shame. I hate when guys get hurt. Yeah. Especially talented guys like him. So there's just the skill positions seem weak, and the offense feels like Connor Wegman only.
Right.
Like, it literally feels like it's him.
Yeah.
The defense is going to be good, especially up front. And I think Elko coming in can help the secondary. And if your front seven's good, you can hide a bad secondary. So Who knows? But I just think we win this game. I think it'll be nasty, and I think it'll be close. But I just think they're not there yet. I think they're still talented, and I think Elko could turn it around for them pretty quick. But you got to win this game if you're Texas.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a lot like the last time we played them in 2011, which you were born in what, 99, 2000?
Yeah, 99.
So you were still real young for that one, but I mean, it was nasty. It was like it was gritty on both ends. Case McCoy just covered in grass stains. Mm-hmm. I mean, that game was it was nasty, and it took a walk-off field goal. And I think it's going to be the same way here. Like, I think whoever has the ball last is going to be driving for a game-winning score, whether it's Texas trying to hold A&M from winning or vice versa. I agree. I mean, I there's a lot of questions with their skill position, especially after Ruben Owens. Is Wegman even going to be playing? Like, because that offensive line is so bad. Can he make it through a full season?
Yep.
I keep hearing about this SEC grind, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't hope that he gets hurt, but
Yeah.
uh,
But he hasn't played a lot of games in his
yeah,
career.
that
He's
too.
been out a lot.
Yep. So okay, let's do this quickly.
So you have Texas winning.
Yeah. Texas. I have it on here as question mark, question mark, question mark. W by 3-7 or lose by 3-7. So
Yeah.
I don't really know. I'm gonna just go on. I don't want to pick us to lose to A&M, so I'm gonna pick us to win. But I genuinely have no idea. If we're going 10-2, I think it's gonna be A&M in Georgia.
Yeah. It's one
And
of those two where I feel like it's very obvious how big this game is, and maybe our guys just show up and are like, "We're
yeah,
ready for it," you
that's
know.
true.
So,
Like you said, like we always play well in those kind of games. So,
yeah.
um, okay, I'm looking up at my TV. We've got 13 minutes. They're saying until kickoff for this Colorado game. So
Sweet.
try to blow through the back end of this. Offensive MVP and defensive MVP for the season. And give
All
yours
right.
in a brief explanation.
Offensive MVP. I got Jaden Blue because I
Okay.
think he's just going to take so many carries
Okay.
by virtue of the room being inexperienced. And I mean, Tashard Choice is just unbelievable. So he's put 4 running backs in the draft in the last 2 years. And I think Jaden Blue could be going for the Doak this year.
Okay. I like that.
So
I really
and then
hope so.
defensive, yeah, I hope so too. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Defensive MVP, I got Ant Hill.
Okay.
He's just so fun to watch, man. And
Okay.
I mean, he rarely do you see a freshman make such an impact.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys like you just can't screw him up. Like he's so talented and he's so good. He could have gone anywhere in the country and been really good. So, and we got the same defensive staff. I mean, so much continuity.
Right.
I like Ant Hill. They gave him the helmet communication for week 1 too.
Yeah, I love
to see that.
I know.
So
And that was the biggest thing with him like last year was he's got all the talent, he's got all the physicals, but like can he figure it out mentally and have, not blow his assignments and all of the things. I mean, to me, the fact that he's getting helmet comms is like holy crap. Like he made the leap that he needed to make and he could be one of the best defensive players in the country next year. And we get him back for a third year, whether he wants to or not, because he won't be draft eligible next year. So we kind of went opposite directions here with the running back position. So I have for offensive MVP, I have Quinn Ewers, and I said before, like he's gonna have to be like for us to be 11-1, even 10-2. Like Quinn is gonna have to play at the next level. He can't even have a year like he had last year. And he had a good year, but he's gonna have to. He can't just distribute the ball to playmakers and let them do their job. He's gonna have to make some plays this year. So I think he will. Defensive MVP, I've got Trey Moore, the transfer from UTSA. I think that he is going to be a force on the outside. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was really good at UTSA. He was getting. You have to be good at UTSA to get NFL draft looks while at UTSA, and he was. So I think that he's going to have no problem translating that over. He's a little undersized, but I've heard a lot about him. He'll use moves in the game to set up moves later on in the game, and I really like that he can think that far ahead, and he's not just rush the quarterback, find the ball. We also did newcomers / breakout players. So Trey Wisner is going to be my pick here. He's not a newcomer.
Nice.
But I do think that he's going to break out this year. I really liked what he showed last year against Oklahoma State and against Tech at the end of the year. And I mean, like you said, Shard Choice is just he's a magician at that position, and I think that kind of rhymed. And I think that he's gonna have a big impact this year, filling in.
He's gonna play it.
Yeah,
he's gonna play a lot.
Yeah, he's gonna get a lot of touches. So, I'm always worried about ball security when it comes to young backs. So hopefully, he'll be okay there. But that's my breakout player. And then defensive breakout and newcomer is going to be Colin Simmons. watching him in high school, he might be the most impressive high school specimen player that I've ever seen. And I think he's going to be a terror. So,
yeah. Awesome. All right. My breakout player, not new to the roster, but I got DeAndre Moore.
okay.
I think with the guys we brought in from the portal and the guys we brought in like Wingo, the fact that DeAndre Moore has kind of solidified himself as a starter is like so shocking to me that I'm like, he's going to have a good season. Like,
right.
I know he's a talented guy, but it sounds like he's kind of the starter there.
And you're right. He's talented, but he always felt like one of those that was going to be a casualty of having so much depth, and he was going to end up transferring out somewhere. Like, you'd see it in the offseason and be like, oh, damn, like, would have loved to have him, but yeah, he got recruited over. But I mean, it looks to me like he's getting his spot. So,
Yeah, I think I'm shocked that we brought in veteran guys that have proven it, and they want to roll the dice with a guy with like 3 catches. And I think it's a good thing because I don't think they're just putting him in there to put him in there. So I like him. I think Jonte Cook is another obvious one, but I think Moore could be more shocking.
Sure.
And then defensively, I have Malik Muhammad.
Okay.
Breakout player. I know he had a great season last year too.
Yeah.
But I think he could really be like the difference in us having a much better secondary this year.
Okay.
So I like Malik.
Okay. I don't hate those. All right, we're gonna do this super quick. Since I texted you and made you do these. Clemson, Georgia. Georgia's 13.5-point favorites.
Georgia and the points.
Okay. I've got Georgia covering late. I'm gonna write these down and I'm gonna keep track and see. Okay. Penn State -8 at West Virginia.
I like Penn State to win. Probably West Virginia to cover.
Okay. I've got West Virginia covering and 7 out of 10 confidence that they win outright.
Dang. Yeah. I mentioned this on our podcast. Penn State doesn't normally lose the game that they shouldn't. And so their biggest knock is fair. They can't beat Ohio State, they can't beat Michigan. I do think they'll beat West Virginia though.
Yeah, that is very fair. Miami, they're getting 2.5 at Florida.
Give me the Gators.
Yep.
The small.
I've got it the same way.
Billy needs it.
Yes, he does. And I think with Florida, a lot of people are looking at the schedule and just writing them off, before they can even do anything. I think they're going to be okay this year. I just think they got a horrible draw.
People don't realize they could go 6-6 and be the 20th best team in the country.
Yeah, exactly. And all their losses could be to top 15 teams. It's just, I agree. Notre Dame at A&M. A&M's getting 3 points there. Pretty much just home field advantage.
Give me the Irish.
Taking the Irish? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I'm taking Notre Dame to cover. I think the concern, their whole line is young, but I don't know. Notre Dame just to me feels like a O-line factory, and I'm not that concerned about it.
And is A&M going to be able to score?
Yeah.
I need to see that first. So. Notre Dame's defense is legit. So.
Yep. My memory of A&M offense recently has been Jimbo trying to figure out what sheet he needs to call the offense. So sitting there with 12 different things. USC, LSU. LSU is getting 4. This game is in Vegas.
Actually, I have my third upset of the weekend here. I got USC.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I have LSU to cover, but I'm not sure. There's so much two new quarterbacks, 2 new defensive coordinators. Like neither defense was any good last year. Give me the over, and that's it.
Yeah, the over was my lock of the week. So
yeah.
It's only 64. It's kind of low.
Really?
Yeah.
That is low. North Dakota State, Colorado. I didn't text you that one, but I'm throwing it in there.
I got Colorado to cover.
Okay.
I just think they'll be too talented.
Okay.
I don't think Colorado's good. I have them going 4-8, but I think they'll win this one.
Okay.
This isn't our 2015 to 2020 North Dakota State.
Yeah, that's
kind of taking a back seat.
That is very
Jackrabbits are the new kings.
They're the new kings of the Dakotas. All right, I told you there was going to be a surprise. I'm glad we got this in here. It'll be quick because, like I said, you could have done research here, but I don't know why you would have. We're going to call this, I'm going to try to make this a weekly segment and call it SuperDawgs. So like ESPN does their, I don't know exactly what they call it, but their teams, I think their threshold is 28-point favorites. I'm going to go up 35-point favorites or better. And there's 5 of them happening tonight. So I want you to pick 2 that you think the underdog can cover a greater than 35-point spread.
Oh, cover.
Does that make sense?
I thought you were talking about win.
No.
Oh, no.
Not win outright, just to cover, So the first one is going to be New Hampshire at UCF.
Okay.
With oh my God, what's the quarterback from Arkansas that went to UCF? Yeah, with KJ Jefferson.
Yep.
So UCF has 38.5 here. Okay. You're going no there?
No.
All right, we're going to go
UCF
no.
will cover.
UCF covers that. Southern Utah at Utah. And Utah's getting 40 here.
Give me Southern.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right.
I've been there. It's beautiful there.
Okay. I don't even know where that is, but I'm sure it is. The whole state seems beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, I know my answer here because I've never even heard of this place. Lindenwood at Kansas. Kansas is getting 49.
That's a lot of points. All right, I'll hold
touchdowns, man.
I'll hold on that one.
Okay.
That's a maybe.
All right.
49 is a lot.
The theme here is we're getting further and further, so it's going to be a lot for the next 2. Murray State at Missouri. Missouri's getting 50.
Oh, 50 points. Okay. Yep.
And then Arkansas Pine Bluff at Arkansas. Arkansas is getting 50.5.
Give me Pine Bluff.
Pine Bluff, okay.
50.5 is a lot of points.
Yes, it is. All right. My 2 were going to be, I'm taking, oh man, I don't even know. I think I have to agree with you. Because, like I said, I don't know Lindenwood. I've never even heard of that. I watched Tech beat Murray State by like 50-something a few years ago. So Missouri should be able to do that. And then, yeah, I think UCF is just going to be better than New Hampshire.
They're good at running up the score too.
Yeah,
UCF is.
So cool. Well, that's all I've got. You got anything else you want to throw out there?
That's all.
Season officially starts.
Yeah, hook 'em horns. That's all I got.
Cool. All right. Well, go check out Dalen's podcast. It's a lot of fun listening to 2 super college educated guys try to give their best takes on college football. It's not quite the same experience as what you're going to hear on this podcast because we're not as smart in all the other things. But yeah, it's a good time. So, well, thanks for filling in, Dalen. We'll have to see if we can get you on again at some point.
Yeah,
hopefully with everybody else on here. And I don't know, come up with some more segments to do. So
sweet. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep, appreciate it.
Everyone enjoy watching football this weekend.
All right, hook 'em.